Thank you kindly for joining us on the I Love CVille Show. The first day of April, much to cover on this foolish, festive, and fun day in Charlottesville, Albemarle County in Central Virginia. We're in downtown Charlottesville on Market Street in the shadows of Thomas Jefferson's University, less than 2 miles from the Rotunda, Scott Stadium, and the John Paul Jones Arena. 75 yards away from the Charlottesville Police Department, a block removed from the courthouse of Albemarle in the city of Charlottesville, and right off the downtown mall, smack dab in a market we love to call Central Virginia, 300,000 people strong, and literally growing every day. Today's show is a reflection of that statement. We have a company saying goodbye to Silicon Valley and hello to Charlottesville, Virginia. We'll let you know why DataShapes set up shop in Charlottesville as they expand their workforce to between 75 and 100 people in the next couple years. On today's program, we have some data present and ready to share from number one in the family, Deep Throat. Deep Throat is a data-driven individual, and he has put a chart together on housing production type in the city of Charlottesville over the last handful of years. The type of housing that's being created in the city of Charlottesville is no surprise to me, no surprise to Deep Throat, no surprise, I think, to Judah, but it may surprise some of the viewers and listeners watching the program, or better yet, it may surprise or counter-argument the narrative that's being positioned by the urbanist group Livable Charlottesville. We'll talk about that on today's program. I had a conversation yesterday with a University of Virginia professor. This particular professor, who is stand-up people, said ChatGPT and AI are running unmonitored, unchecked, and unpoliced at the University of Virginia, and professors do not know what to do about it. We asked this question: if ChatGPT and AI software, strategy, solutions are being utilized in unchecked capacities by students, what is the value of a 4-year education if papers and tests can be taken by artificial intelligence instead of the students that are paying between $40,000 and $100,000 per year to learn in a college setting? I want to talk on today's program about Ace Biscuit and Barbecue. Had a terribly unfortunate weekend where Vandals broke into the local eatery and destroyed the restaurant. The type of behavior, not one rooted in theft, but one rooted in destruction. We have photos from their Facebook page to show you as we try to muster and rally and galvanize the community in supporting Ace Biscuit and Barbecue. One of their sandwiches, the Old Dirty Bastard, one of my absolute favorites. Chaps ice cream opens on the UVA corner. It's a local brand opening in what is a slew and sea of corporate run and owned businesses on the UVA corner. How can a brand that was founded in 1985 on the downtown mall by a beloved local named Tony now have success with its second generation of owners on the University of Virginia corner, with students seeming to spend less on locally owned businesses and instead choosing convenience, online ordering, and the internet for their food and beverage experiences? Judah Wickhauer, yours truly, we work hard for you. The only thing we ask in return is if you like the show, spread the gospel, and share the show, as Olivia Brandt just has done. Olivia, you are beloved in this community. We want you, the viewer and listener, to ask questions, pose topics, and shape the program as it's truly a water cooler of Charlottesville, the I Love CVille Show. We'll welcome Judah to the program. Not only the director and producer, but a key member of the family. An item that did not make the headline list today, I don't know if you saw this, Charlottesville broadcasting superstar Joe Thomas was let go by WCHV on Saturday morning. Did you see that news?
No, I didn't.
He made the announcement today on his Facebook page, the award-winning broadcaster, the conservative talk show host, who was at one time my boss when I worked for Monticello Media in hosting a 5-day-a-week talk show called The Jerry Miller Show. Mr. Thomas, on his talk show on Friday on WCHV, let the community know that he was purchasing a radio station that was going to serve the Shenandoah Valley, Stanton, and creep into Crozet. So he goes on WCHV, and he lets the community, his followers, know that he's going to acquire WTON. On Saturday, Mr. Thomas was removed as the program director and star of the network. Was it related to his acquisition of these stations in the Valley? I don't know. He does not say. Was it related to legacy media continuing to cut back on overhead or looking to trim payroll and other payroll fat? Overhead fat? I don't know. But we do know legacy media has faced significant headwinds with social media, podcasting, and other digital media creations stealing advertising dollars from print, radio, and television. One thing I will say is Joe Thomas was a fair boss for me. Joe Thomas is a talented broadcaster. Joe Thomas was a voice in Charlottesville and Central Virginia that represented a centrist, center of the aisle, or conservative perspective. Mm-hmm. Joe Thomas was a breath of fresh air. He was willing to hold leaders and politicians and business heads accountable on his platform. Joe Thomas was honest with his craft, and Joe Thomas was a voice that was necessary in a community that is lacking voices. A community each day that is becoming a media desert, a community each day that is losing eclectic thought, diversity in speech, a community each day that is becoming homogenous in its politics. Joe Thomas unabashed and unafraid when it comes to his lens on Charlottesville, Albemarle County, and in Central Virginia. He says this 5 hours ago on Facebook, and I hope Mr. Thomas hears this or is told that we have his back on the I Love CVille show. 5 hours ago, the luscious locked Joe Thomas said, for someone that works with words, I have been carefully considering how to say this without sounding negative, so here goes. I was let go by WCHV ownership on Saturday. As with the end of all relationships, there is what I would say about what precipitated it and what they may say. Since they are not here to tell you their view, I will not taint your determinations with mine. That said, I hope to be able to talk to you again soon. # leave the light on. I wish Joe Thomas nothing but the best. He and his wife, Elaine Thomas, through an LLC, Thomas Media LLC, acquired 1240 WTON in Stanton, 1240 WTON in Stanton, and Translators 98.9 W255DS Harrisonburg, and 101.1 W266BQ in Crozet from Stucom Inc. for $275,000. Mr. Thomas and his wife Elaine, who recently purchased a home in Fluvanna County, have more skin in the game in radio than they have ever before with a $275,000 acquisition. And now it's up to them to create content that is compelling for people to tune in. If there's a program director and a talk show host, a face of the station that could do it, it's Mr. Joe Thomas. I wish him nothing but the best. All I want in this media desert is for diversity of thought, diversity of talk, and diversity of media. And as the hook has evaporated, as the Daily Progress has become a shell of itself, as NBC 29 and CBS 19 continue to employ fresh out of college reporters with no ties to this area, as Charlottesville tomorrow becomes a shadow of its former self when Brian Wheeler and Sean Tubbs were employed by the nonprofit news organization, and as Monticello Media and the Charlottesville Radio Group look to trim costs and cut overhead, we have become a media desert despite being affluent and sophisticated with our demographic. Mr. Thomas, we wish you the best on the I Love CVille show. We will reach out to you to see if we can get you on the program like we have in the past. I don't know if you have a photo of Joe and I on the show that we can put on screen. If not, I know that's asking a lot. There's one online, many online in fact. But we will do our part to champion where you go next. Anything you want to add to this before we go to the next topic?
Just that I wish Joe Thomas the best. I think that he's, like you said, he's got a lot to offer Charlottesville, and it's a shame that that the people that he worked for don't see the value in what he offers, and I think we're all worse off for it.
Multiple photos of Joe here on the I Love CVille show, if you can put those on screen. All right, now to today's headlines if you want to get me on a one-shot. Here's the nitty-gritty for Monday, April Fools. And no, unfortunately, that Joe Thomas news was not an April Fool's joke. It is very much reality. An AI company, Deep Throat, has sent us a news chart for you to pull, J-Dubs. Just came across the feed on the DMs.
All right.
Moments ago for us to show on screen. Deep Throat, we're going to put this chart on the show. We have an artificial intelligence company that's left Silicon Valley for Charlottesville. This story in the Daily Progress, we're going to highlight this story and we're going to unpack it. This company leaves San Francisco and Silicon Valley and moves its headquarters to Charlottesville. It considered Northern Virginia, but it chose Charlottesville instead. The reasons may or may not surprise you. I also want to have a conversation, speaking of AI, about what a UVA professor told me yesterday over the Easter weekend. A very frank conversation. This particular professor said ChatGPT is running unmonitored, unchecked, and unpoliced at the University of Virginia, and professors don't know what to do about it. We'll have that conversation today. We'll talk Chaps ice cream opening on the UVA corner, Vandals breaking in and vandalizing, destroying Ace Biscuit and Barbecue, causing it to close for a week, tens of thousands of dollars of damage at Ace Biscuit and Barbecue, and a chart that's going to offer insight or illustrate housing production in Charlottesville by type. For those that say we don't have enough housing density and we're not building multifamily at a quick enough rate, this chart will say otherwise. The chart will speak to a narrative that's out there that we need to build, and prioritizing building ahead of infrastructure. And he says, not so fast, my friends, in the words of Lee Corso. I'm going to go to the AI story. Give me a thumbs up when Deep Throat's chart is ready to go and when Joe Thomas's photos are ready to go. You can keep me on a one shot with the lower thirds, the first three rotating on screen, my friend. This from the newspaper today. The company is called DataShapes. And DataShapes, as per today's newspaper, is an AI company that manufactures software for defense industry vehicles. They are relocating from San Francisco to Charlottesville. They considered Northern Virginia and Washington, D.C. for its new headquarters, but they said, you know what, Charlottesville's a better spot for us. And they highlighted the University of Virginia and the constant supply of students graduating each year from UVA for a reason to move to CVille. They also call the Charlottesville area closer knit, homey, and more of a community. Exact words. They said the Northern Virginia area would have been similar to Silicon Valley, where you can throw a rock and hit many other AI companies and competitors. In Charlottesville, that's not the case. DataShape is opening in UVA's North Fork Discovery Park, just north of Charlottesville City and Albemarle County. This North Fork Discovery Park is home to several other companies, including Booz Allen. This location offers a classified environment for DataShapes, and it provides the company room to expand. This company says it expects to go to 75 to 100 employees over the next a couple years. It will triple its workforce in the next couple years, its CEO said to the newspaper. This business is hiring individuals, 6 figures across the board. One of the close relationships that inspired this move was UVA's School of Data Science, a school funded by friend of the program, Jaffrey Woodruff. The data science school we mentioned to you many times was going to create thousands of additional jobs, direct and indirect. Here's an example of the indirect jobs created. The CEO of DataShapes is planning several lectures for undergraduates this fall and will collaborate with students on capstone projects. The CEO of DataShapes spent 7 months living in Crozet while working for the National Guard Intelligence Center in 2020. This is just the beginning. It's just the beginning. The schools are not finished yet. The companies that open headquarters in the Charlottesville area, the first to market companies, will have huge advantages with hiring students that graduate from the data science school or the biotech school. This is just the beginning for a population pop. And the population pop will be 5,000 to 8,000 additional citizens, primarily in Charlottesville and Albemarle County, with 6-figure jobs. It's just the beginning. You already have limited inventory. You're going to have more people moving to this area, living in this area, and choosing Charlottesville and Albemarle County because they're going to have the wealth to do it. I applaud DataShapes for choosing Charlottesville. It's one of the reasons we live here. Community, homey, the University of Virginia. Strong economy. But there is cause and effect, or what we like to say collateral damage, and that's going to be escalating cost of living. In April, this month, we're going to get the HUD numbers of HUD area median income and how it's increased from the 123,300 of 2022. We'll watch that number as it increases in 2023. Those data points will be released later this month. You have Thomas photos?
Yep, I got a picture of him.
You're a gentleman and a scholar. If you can get the Joe Thomas photos on screen. Georgia Gilmer, hello. Thank you for watching the program. We'll get to your comments. Florence Worley-Vaya, hello. Thank you for watching the show. Catherine Lochner, hello. Thank you for watching the program. Got the TV station and a newspaper watching the program. Vanessa Parkhill and Carol Thorpe will get to your comments in a matter of moments. Chaps is opening a second location on the UVA corner. In fact, it opened over the weekend. That story coming up on today's show, Vanessa. Yes, Vanessa, that's the UVA park that's a hop, skip, and a jump from NGIC. Let's start getting some photos on screen. There's Joe Thomas on screen. Judah Wickower, thank you for putting him on there. Neil Williamson, your comments in a matter of moments. Tom Powell, your comments in a matter of moments. Tom Powell, I do not know anything about the Joe Thomas firing. This is the extent of what I know, and it's what Mr. Thomas, my former boss, put on social media. Joe Thomas, my boss when I was fresh out of the University of Virginia. I've had two bosses in my entire life. Jerry Ratcliffe, sports editor, Daily Progress, award-winning editor at the Daily Progress, who's in the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame. And Joe Thomas, award-winning broadcaster, radio, Monticello Media. Only bosses I've ever had in my life. Started this business almost 17 years ago. That's crazy. The extent of what I know is he announced on Friday Tom Powell. Is Tom Powell on the viewer and listener power ranking, Judah?
Tom Powell, that doesn't sound familiar.
We need to get him on the ilovecville.com/viewer rankings. Tom Powell is not in the rankings.
Let me see.
I'm scrolling through the rankings right now. I do not see Tom Powell on there. He should be on there. Did you add the folks I asked you to add after Tom Stargell last week?
Let's see.
Looks like you got a little work to catch up on here.
Yeah.
Who was after Tom Stargell that we asked you to put on there?
We got Dylan's Rule and Travis Hackworth.
Dylan's Rule at 52, Travis Hackworth at 53, Tom Powell at 54. ilovecville.com/viewer rankings. Mr. Powell, he said that he announced on his show on Friday that he had acquired these Valley positions, and by Saturday he was let go. Is that the reason he was released from his job as program director and host at WCHV? I don't know. But the timing is certainly suspect. And if WCHV does not realize that the reason people turn into that station is because of Joe Thomas, then they're huffing glue. That's the reason people listen. He is a voice of freedom in a market that is convoluted by homogenous commentary, and I'll leave it at that. Let's go DataShapes, and then we'll get to what the UVA professor said. Deep Throat, his photo on screen. Deep Throat's shaping today's show. Wait till you see the chart he sent us. DataShapes is leaving Silicon Valley to come here because it is cheap compared to the other places they considered. That's absolutely right. He also says it could be a good retention strategy to be in a place that does not have a huge number of similar firms. People cannot leave their job without leaving the area. In the pre-remote work era, this was a tremendous edge the firm of which I was a partner based in Texas, one of the only hedge funds in that city in retention, had. We had a much lower turnover. Guy comes from Wharton, meets and marries a Texan, beautiful lass, beautiful belle, and he can never leave. That's absolutely true. There's one firm like mine that operates in Charlottesville and Central Virginia. Only one. He's saying if you're one of the few players that does this type of work, you're going to be more loyal to the company you're working for because there's not a lot of other opportunities to switch jobs. Plus the affordability. Ginny Hu's photo on screen. Ginny Hu is what? Number 4 in the family. She says, we would be remiss if we did not mention how Joe used his platform to showcase and support local nonprofits. And he and his wife both volunteered countless hours as well. Fantastic commentary. I'm quote retweeting this. Amen. His wife Elaine constantly at these events that Joe was the face of. I know firsthand for anyone that does the type of work that we do, there is an Elmer's glue behind the scenes that's keeping either the family fed, the family in bed, the I's dotted, the T's crossed, accounts receivables and payables done, the calendar work done, the scheduling work done. Well said, Ginny Hu. Catherine Lochner, her photo on screen, please.
She's not on the ranking.
What? Catherine Lochner's got to be on the ranking. She is not on the ranking?
Never been on.
Catherine Lochner's got to be on there. Catherine Lochner, welcome to the Power Rankings. Put her on there behind Tom Powell. If you can get those up today so we can have them ready to go for tomorrow's show, that would be fantastic. Thank you kindly. Catherine Lochner says Norfolk Park is 29 North and Lewis and Clark Drive. You can also get there from Airport Road. And she says, oh my, I am not on the ranking. Well, you'll be on the ranking for tomorrow's show, Ms. Lochner. We very much appreciate you making the program better. Catherine Lochner is going to be there moving forward. Carol Thorpe watching the program. I know she's on the power ranking. She's number 9 in the family. Queen of Jack Jewett. I hosted a show called The Fat Lady Sings from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. in 2017 on WCHV while my health allowed. Joe was a great mentor and friend. Whatever the reason, WCHV has made a huge mistake. I think WCHV has also made a huge mistake. I agree with that. I want to have the conversation, speaking of AI, that I had with a UVA professor yesterday over the Easter holiday. This particular professor, as you're rotating lower thirds, Catherine Lochner, you're welcome, said that ChatGPT is running unchecked at the University of Virginia, Judah. Mm-hmm. He says it's running unchecked, unmonitored, unpoliced. Professors don't know what to do about it. This impacts papers that are being done, essays. This impacts take-home exams, quizzes, and all aspects of grading at the University of Virginia. He says this is an underground conversation that's being whispered currently from professor to professor, department to department, but it is rampant at Thomas Jefferson's University. We had the following conversations. Is there software out there that can police AI when it comes to grading?
I think there is.
He said, not that they have found of merit. He said students can enter something for a particular paper and then enter it again and it will spit out completely different language. Lou Bloomfield with the How Things Work physics class, when I was a student at the University of Virginia, he created proprietary software, Mr. Bloomfield did. When you wrote a paper in his How Things Work class, the primary grade was a semester paper that you wrote. You could pick your topics from the syllabus. I took How Things Work 1 and How Things Work 2. I've told this story previously on past I Love CVille shows. And on How Things Work 1 with Lou Bloomfield as a first year in my first semester, I wrote a paper on, must have been sailing, on the physics of sailing. I did very well on this paper, the physics of sailing. I think I got an A-. And then in How Things Work 2, he graded by having a paper that you got to pick the topic on and you explain the physics of it. One of the topics of How Things Work 2, one of the paper topics on How Things Work 2 was like stand up. What's it called when you stand up and you're parasailing? So I could pick sailing on one, parasailing on the other, go to Microsoft Word, hit edit and replace. I had an A- on the first paper. Why couldn't I use the paper for the foundation of the second paper? It did not say on the syllabus that you couldn't do that. How Things Work 2, I did paragliding. What's it called? Parasailing? What's it called? When you're standing up on the thing and is it parasailing? You're not flexing your biceps.
Is that just hang gliding?
And hang gliding is not in the water. How would that be synonymous with sailing?
In the water? Yeah, parasailing.
Long story short, How Things Work 2, Lou Bloomfield's proprietary software flagged my paper and said, this is very similar to this A- paper. Called me into the office. I said, Mr. Bloomfield, it does not say in the syllabus I could not do this. We were taught to work smart when we came to the University of Virginia, and I got an A- here. And he said, you know what? You're right. Windsurfing. That's exactly what it was, Neil Williamson. Thank you. It was on windsurfing. Now professors are facing a similar challenge. How can they manage, police, ChatGPT, and artificial intelligence with today's student and today's grading and today's curriculum? If a paper is submitted and it's graded by a graduate student, and that graduate student who is underpaid and underappreciated, limited resources, limited time, and is working as a graduate student to help subsidize the cost of their overhead, has to grade 50 or 60 papers, and that might even be a light number. Is that graduate student going to be able to catch artificial intelligence or ChatGPT writing an actual term paper? He said no. And it leads us to believe, or it leads us to ask, that this is happening not just at the University of Virginia, but at colleges and universities across the country. So what value, how much diminished value is on a degree if AI and ChatGPT are churning or producing the grading curriculum, the grading scale, the foundation of grading, the production, the proof of performance of students? Is it watering down degrees? Is it watering down education? Isn't it creating a student that is less experienced, educated? You're at a time when education costs more than it ever has in American history, and students, because of technology, have more resources than they've ever had in American history. I want to give you that equation again. The cost of a degree is more expensive than it's ever been, yet students have more technology resources at their disposal than they have ever had. Is that a watered down experience education-wise? Are we going to move? He asked me this question, and it was rhetorical, to an environment where it's back to classroom testing and writing of papers, where you have to sit in a classroom for a period of time with someone monitoring what you're doing as you're either writing the paper or taking the test in person, as opposed to an honor code that allows tests to be taken outside of a classroom and papers to be written over the course of weeks, if not a month or longer. He said, perhaps we're in that scenario, and that we should consider doing a show based on this topic. John Blair says, number 2 in the family, his photo on screen, is the demise of the old honor system a contributing factor to the increased use of ChatGPT at UVA? Fantastic question, and somewhere where I wanted to go. It's not single sanction anymore, so there's less fear. If there's less fear, is there more willingness to use artificial intelligence to do the work for you? So let's put the equation together before we go to the next topic. And if you want to jump in, please do anytime you want. Dylan's Rule, welcome to the broadcast. Dylan, you're going to have your photo on screen on the I Love CVille Power Rankings by close of business today, as will Ms. Lochner, as will Mr. Powell. We have the most expensive time for education ever. There goes Denise Lunsford, former Commonwealth's attorney. Denise Lunsford. We have the most expensive time in American history for cost of education. We have the most technology, the most resources available technology-wise for students ever, right now. And we have a watered-down version of Thomas Jefferson's honor code, perhaps the most weak or less stringent it's ever been right now. What kind of equation is that?
I mean, they're just going to turn into another school. How many schools have strict honor codes? I mean, obviously, schools aren't in the business of letting kids just fake tests and.
Or are they?
I'm pretty sure most colleges don't want that, whether or not.
Why would they not?
Why would they not allow it?
Graduation rates, more students in the workforce, more students employed that made it 4 years with a degree, then able to spread the word, spread the brand awareness, spread the gospel of the experience they just had. More students graduating from UVA. Does a university actually want to expel students? No, it wants to graduate students. Why? Alumni, brand awareness, gospel spreading, donations, networking.
So you think UVA will do away with their honor code altogether?
Does a university, and I'm speaking in broad terms, universities, just like high schools don't want to expel students. They don't want to hold back students. Why do they not want to hold back students or expel students?
Because they want good numbers.
They want numbers. It's juking the stats a la The Wire and Bunny Colvin. You socially promote You don't want a junior hanging out with freshmen in high school. You're juking the stats, you push them through, socially promote. Because if you get them through, you get the brand out there, the network out there, you get the gospel spread, and most importantly, you get the alumni donations and relationships. You don't want to stigmatize, villainize, blackball, and expel unless you really have to.
Doesn't that lead to trouble down the line?
Explain. Rob Neal, I'll get to your comment in a matter of moments.
I mean, we're seeing that with local schools, right? They didn't think. I don't think they really thought through some of their decisions, and now they're running into problems.
Ginny Hu says it's not just colleges. I was recently part of a conversation where a leader was concerned an Eagle Scout candidate had used AI for his life purpose statement. Wow. And what is the line? What is the line between working smart and not hard in artificial intelligence and ChatGPT?
Are you saying that there's a line that ChatGPT is acceptable?
I'm saying this. One of my friends, he's a CPA. I believe he mentioned I'll take it with the realtor exam. Realtors watching this program. Very similar to the CPA exam. A CPA was being interviewed for a job, my buddy's firm. I'm not going to say which firm. I got a friend of mine that's a partner at an accounting firm locally. I mean, really, he's in position to be the next CEO of this firm. And in the hiring process, Judah, he said this. I can't wait. Put you on a two-shot so people get your reaction. He had a candidate that he was looking to hire at his practice. Mm-hmm. And he said, how did you do on the CPA exam? And the candidate said, I got a perfect score. Out of curiosity, my friend said, wow, a perfect score. What was the perfect score? And the guy goes, 75. My friend, who's going to be the heir apparent of the firm, says, how is a 75 a perfect score?
Is this out of 100?
You know what the candidate's response was?
No.
75 is passing. Any higher, I did work for nothing. I did just the right work to pass the CPA and become a certified public accountant. Any additional work is not working smart. I got the perfect score, a 75.
Interesting.
Real estate exam. Realtor? The real estate exam, you want to become a realtor? Real estate agent? Actually, a real estate agent. 75 is what you needed. Retake the test as much as you want, $60 retake fee. You get told the questions you missed if you fail, if you don't get 75. Here's what you missed. 75 is what you need. Is that the perfect score? And it leads me to this question. What is the line where it's work smart, not hard when it comes to technology, artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, while in college or in a professional setting? If this resource is at your disposal and you get an A- on a sailboating paper for Lou Bloomfield and How Things Work, and that A-, that paper that you busted your ass on, can be the foundation for a windsurfing paper the next semester, should you not use the windsurfing, the sailboating foundation for the windsurfing paper the next semester when the syllabus clearly says you can pick any topic you want? And if you do that in a college setting and you do it in a professional setting and your peers do not, aren't you creating more hours of productivity for your employer? Or is that in the category of dishonorable?
I think it sounds like it's in the category of excuses.
Rob Neal says, this. He's a CPA. Get Rob Neal's photo on screen. Key member of the family. My dad's also a CPA. 46 in the family. Or actually, that's Rob O'Neill. That's Randy O'Neill. You got Rob Neal on screen there, Judah?
I do now.
What's his number? Oh, he had a massive jump. He's 29 in the family, Rob Neal. ilovecville.com/viewer rankings. He says it's called the 300 Club amongst CPAs. There are 4 exams. 75 times 4 equals 300. I'm glad to say I'm in the 300 Club. Oh, not in the 300 Club, he says. It's the 300 Club.
I was going to say.
The 300 Club, not in the 300 Club. And a second comment, he leaves. It's crazy. Are we heading to a university experience because of technology where you're going to have to do your tests, your quizzes, and papers in a classroom without your phone on your desk?
With a proctor, the way tests have been taken for millennia?
That's how the real estate exam is taken. In a classroom with the proctor without a phone or technology present. So now the students who are paying $40,000 to $85,000 a year can take the test anywhere they want, write the paper anywhere they want.
I think that's a failing of the colleges, universities. I think part of this discussion depends on what it is you're learning. I think there are, as in elementary school and junior high and high school, there are things that we know you're not going to need, and there are things that we definitely would be advantageous for us to learn that they don't teach in school, like doing your taxes and just being an adult. I think that there's a lot of stuff in colleges that's probably exactly the same, where you take electives. Maybe you're taking a class on Greek art and architecture, which is not going to help you as a CPA or as whatever else you're going into. I think that oftentimes you're probably fine using ChatGPT. It's not going to negatively affect the job that you eventually go into. In other cases, there probably is information that you should, becoming a lawyer, there's probably a lot of information that would be helpful once you graduate and find a job. There's also probably, what's the word I'm looking for? There's probably systems that they try to teach you that help you become a better whatever you want to become. And those are probably beneficial to learn for when you finally get into your field. But again, there are probably other places where you're just basically doing busy work. And in those cases, maybe the argument is correct, that getting a 75 is what you need to pass. Anything else is just wasting your time, especially if that's information that's not going to be relevant once you find yourself in a job. How much would that second paper have helped you post-college if you had actually done the work?
You talk to someone that practices real estate, the large majority of what is studied or what is on the test is not actual real life. It's just minutia.
It's not relevant. Yeah.
You talk to a CPA, they will say the same thing. It's a barrier of entry to get into the profession to show that you've paid your dues as, quote, a pledge, air quote.
Yeah. Sadly, I think a lot of schooling is not applicable to what we eventually end up doing.
It's a rite of passage. Neil Williamson, his photo on screen, the president of the Free Enterprise Forum. Mr. Williamson, when he leaves a comment, I listen and I read it on air. Number 19 in the family. He leaves a link from Harvard Business Journal, a Harvard Business article. It's still too early to know if this AITG, which stands for Artificial Intelligence Text Generators, are the next tipping point that will disrupt the human-digital interaction, like Google did some years ago, or the introduction of the Gutenberg printing press centuries ago. However, we do know the adaptation process is already unfolding in a few weeks rather than taking decades, while questions around this type of AI remain, like how it may make human life better, as time invested in producing writing content could potentially be significantly reduced. Educators will need to think creatively about how to apply changes to their content, as well as the skills we give and we want to give to our students. We can and should embrace AI TGs like ChatGPT as a partner that helps us learn more, work smarter, and faster.
Yeah.
I think the future is one potentially where the student learns in the classroom and takes tests and writes papers in a classroom in a proctored environment. And if that's the case, I'm going to unpack it even further. If that's the case, if technology, this is us getting super deep, and this is why you listen to the I Love CVille show. If technology makes answers and resources readily available in seconds at fingertips, and universities respond by saying, okay, we're going to go old school methods, students studying and doing the work and taking the tests and writing the papers in the classroom, that further drives the value proposition of in-person learning, which makes UVA even more valuable, the four-year experience even more valuable, which means the university has even more power in Charlottesville and Central Virginia and Albemarle County.
Though UVA is pushing towards online.
No, you're not following. To combat technology, they're going to push the kids to do the work potentially in classroom. And if they push them in classroom versus digitally, that means students are going to have to be here in person. And if they're here in person, cost of living goes up even more. Student experience is even more prevalent in Charlottesville and Albemarle because they have to do it in person here. If they offer a degree program where it can be done digitally over a screen anywhere in the world, can't that person just get a UVA degree thanks to ChatGPT and AI TGs? It's a great topic for a conversation, for a cocktail party. It was a topic for an Easter party yesterday. Literally the topic for Easter party yesterday. In fact, he encouraged me and suggested a professor colleague of his that is specializing in this as a guest for the show. So we'll see if we can make it happen on the program.
Nice.
Next topic. This is one from Deep Throat. You have that chart he just set up?
Yeah.
This is housing production by production type. Tell us when that chart's on screen.
This is the second one?
This is the third one he just sent, the one I mentioned to you at the beginning of the show. Yep, that's the third one.
Yeah. It's the second one you had me download.
1, 2, 3. The headline, the 5-year rolling average unit production type. The black line is total production, the purple line is 2 to 4 units, and the green line is 5 units plus. This is for Charlottesville. What's that chart tell you there, Judah? This is what the chart tells you. Charlottesville is producing multifamily housing at an aggressive clip. Deep Throat even highlights total production is at levels not seen here since the 1970s. He explains that there's a narrative out there by groups in the community that say we're not producing multifamily at an aggressive clip, and he says that is a bald-faced lie. If you look at this chart, and it's a chart rooted in actual numbers, what we're seeing is multifamily in Charlottesville. And it makes sense, right? You drive over CVille, and what do you see? You see apartment towers. You see single-family houses knocked down for multifamily. You see like the $1 million rancher in the Lewis Mountain neighborhood that the Long and Foster realtor had. What was his name? I got a conversation going with him. Is it Lucas Cole? Let me confirm his name. Luke Cole of Long and Foster. He had $1 million rancher in the Lewis Mountain neighborhood, a posh Tony neighborhood by UVA. A rancher that was marketed on multifamily opportunity and not multi-child rearing home life. Under contract, $1 million rancher. Put that chart back on screen. The narrative that's out there that we don't have enough housing is not an accurate narrative. Deep Throat says this, 2 points of the chart. We produce lots of housing, mostly multifamily. Second, the fluctuations in production are driven by national trends and not by zoning. How about a national trend of folks being able to work remotely or hybridly now? And because they can work remotely or hybridly now, they choose to jettison Los Angeles, they choose to jettison DC, they choose to jettison Manhattan, they choose to jettison crime-ridden areas like Baltimore or Detroit for cost of living lower areas that offer better quality of life like Charlottesville. Bloomberg recently recognized the Charlottesville metro area as one of the top hybrid remote work areas in the nation. Why? Because of what we all know, why we all live here. That's a national trend of hybrid and remote work, allowing employees to work anywhere they want in their tighty-whities, their bathrobes, their BVDs, while sitting in their basement through an internet service provider. That type of trend, he says, drives multifamily production or housing type production, not looser zoning codes. Someone point to me, and I know it's early, we're a month in. Someone point to me where the upzoning has created any housing or even showed the gateway of any housing. You can't. Couple of comments coming in. Ginny Who. If the DMV can make you leave your phone and smartwatch behind to take a driving test, you would think UVA would not have such a difficult time coming up with a solution. Ginny Who. We just visited our eldest at college and the bookstore was selling blue books. Well, they were green, and I was happy to see some professors still require those. Can't AI your way out of those. You know what that is?
Vaguely. Isn't it a book where you've got to do the work in there?
There it is, and you submit it, as opposed to a digital file. John Blair for Deep Throat specifically. Mr. Blair says this, I 100% agree with Deep Throat. When I saw that chart, I thought this market is completely correlated with the national market. Completely correlated with the national market for Mr. Blair. Directly to Deep Throat, from LinkedIn to Twitter. Aaron King, welcome to the broadcast. We love you, Aaron King. Is she in the family? She better be in the family. I love EK. If you need a food and beverage business run correctly, Aaron King is your solution. Is Aaron King not in the family?
Nope.
What? How is that humanly possible? Please put her on the ranking. Please have these done today. Please, 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 sir, please. Aaron, you're going to be on ilovecville.com/viewer rankings. Good Lord. Deep Throat, thank you for that chart. A perfect example of what we want to do with the show, where we crowdsource content from valued viewers and listeners. It's a perfect example. I'm seeing 2 on 3, 4, 5. Neil Williamson, we're going to get to the comments directed at Deep Throat in a matter of moments. I'm seeing 11 people asking to see that chart. Can you take that chart, Judah, and post it on the Twitter thread for this show, my Facebook comment section, the I Love CVille comment section, the I Love CVille groups comment section, and the LinkedIn comment section? Heck, put it on the I Love CVille Instagram. That'll put that chart in front of, good Lord, tens of thousands. Neil Williamson for Deep Throat. For what it's worth, you will see significantly fewer 10-plus unit multifamily housing in Charlottesville, as such new projects will require affordable housing for 99 years under the new zoning. For what it's worth, thank you, Neil Williamson, for sharing that. He's 100% right. Neil Williamson was very quick to offer a concerning spotlight that 10-plus unit multifamily requiring 99 years of affordability, he did this before it was approved, would keep multifamily of that ilk or magnitude from becoming a reality because the dollars and cents don't pencil out. Deep Throat says this: tell Neil that I was just chatting with a local developer, and the developer said the exact same thing that Mr. Williamson just said. Vanessa Parkhill, her photo's on screen. There are townhomes going up all over near Target and in Prophet Row near Wawa and Walgreens, and look at the apartments near Stonefield. This is a great point by Deep Throat. That tells me that the extra density is not really that valuable if 10% affordable housing requirement can sink a deal. Can you imagine telling an entrepreneur or a developer that 10% of your project is going to have to be affordable housing for 99 years? Carol Thorpe asked this question, a question for the great Giardini. Tonight, City Council has the previously failed attempt for a resolution about the Israeli-Palestine conflict on its agenda. Does its mere presence mean we have a case of weak knees on the dais? And if so, whose? What is your prediction? Which of the three councilors, Snook, Wade, and Pinkston, will change their votes from last month? I will say this again. This came up on Friday, and Judah offered poignant perspective last week. I'll say this on today's program. If either Councilor Snook or Pinkston, who's the vice mayor this year? Do you know? I should know this. We know Wade's the mayor. Is Pinkston the vice? Who's the vice? It's not Oshrin. It's not Snook. It's either Payne or Pinkston. Pinkston's the vice, right?
Yeah, I believe it's Pinkston.
Is it Pinkston? Is it B. Pinks?
I think so.
If either Mayor Wade or Vice Mayor Pinkston or Councilor Snook change their vote, I'm going to call some BS on that. What five people, thank you, Carol, what five people do on a dais in a poorly attended city council meeting in Charlottesville, Virginia, has nothing to do with Israel or Palestine.
Yeah.
It's window dressing and pomp and circumstance, and has zero impact on geopolitical warfare.
Yeah.
Nothing. It is a waste of taxpayer resources. Are you in agreement or disagree with what I just said?
I'm 100% in agreement. I think it's virtue signaling, and I think, especially in this case, I think there are cases when it may be worth it to make a statement, whether or not that statement is going to have any effect outside of anywhere. But in this case, I think we are better off staying out of this.
Seriously. Deep Throat, 0 applications under the new zoning so far. 1,000 plus units race for approval at the end of 2023 under the old zoning code. What a joke. All right, a couple items out of the notebook. Aaron King, I sincerely mean that, EK. You know I mean that. Bill McChesney, the mayor of McIntyre, why is an item like that even on the agenda? Seriously. Why is an item like... it's something under the ground It's gases that are emitting under the tectonic plates that are coming up and creeping up from under the ground and under the pothole. It might be radon under the potholed sidewalks and under the diet. What was the phrase that Natalie or Michael wanted to use with the roads? Diet.
Oh yeah.
What was it called?
Was it road diet?
Oh, road diet. Something under the potholed sidewalks or the road dieted thoroughways that is creating crazy people. All right, a few other items out of the notebook. Props to Chaps Ice Cream. They're opening a second location on the UVA corner.
That's great.
Fantastic news.
Yeah. I wish them all the luck in the world.
Amen, brother.
And a long tenure on the corner.
100%. Chaps Ice Cream, second location on the UVA corner. Everything Judah just said. 1985, this business founded. Unbelievable. Second generation owners now. Tony no longer the owner.
Yeah.
Will they have success on a corner that has become a sea and slew of chains and big box brands? That is the question. Will they have the success on the UVA corner where students now prefer to get their food and beverage experiences through third-party apps or through online ordering and delivery? Time will tell. Time will tell. But I respect any entrepreneur and any family who is willing to expand and take the risk to expand. From one location since 1985 on the downtown mall to a location that just opened on Saturday on the UVA corner, awesome news. Now, some sad news. Agree, Catherine Lochner. I love that it's a local brand and not a big box brand. Big box brands on the UVA corner. Chipotle, Starbucks, Qdoba,
Yep.
Hilton buying the franchise rights to the Graduate Hotel, Raising Cane's, just to name a few.
Yep.
Ace Biscuit and Barbecue photos as you're rotating lower thirds. What the hell? Why would Vandals break into Ace Biscuit and Barbecue and do this to this business? Seriously.
One would.
They didn't even steal the booze.
I'm sure they stole some.
Did you see behind the bar? Are you rotating the photos?
Yeah.
They just broke the bottles and threw them behind the bar. They shattered the toilets, the sinks. They broke the glass in the coolers. I mean, it's beyond criminal.
Yeah, this is clearly personal.
Clearly personal. Ace Biscuit and Barbecue, we support you on your road to recovery. We support all locally owned businesses. We will be there to support you when you open. This is the Monday edition of the I Love CVille Show. I've been proud of today's show. Proud of Judah's work. Proud of what we did today on the program. Thank you kindly for watching the show. If you like the show, give it a like and a share. We work hard for you. The only thing we ask in return is a like and a share. So long, everybody.